Hi, welcome to Love Your Life with Chris Tackett. I'm a life coach, but I am no guru. From here, I can't solve your problems. In fact, I can't solve your problems at all. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can take control and how you can start owning your problems and finding solutions for them. Doesn't that sound awesome? Oh my gosh, it's so exciting that you have all that power. Nobody else does. And, you know, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Life can be hard, right? But we can figure it out. And here's the thing. You got to work for it. I'm going to be real today and tell you right now, stop making excuses. Stop playing victim. Stop letting other people dictate where your life is headed. Take control back. I hear a lot of people when we talk about this subject make excuses. And I bet you sit there and make the same excuses because I make them too. Whenever I want to change, I make excuses. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't know how to do that. I don't have resources for that. And the list goes on and on and on. But reality is, do you have the time to sit there and feel bad and not live your life in joy, right? Change happens the moment we decide to make a choice. So today, I want to talk about how you have the choice to be happy. Isn't that the one thing when someone brings a new baby home or for our own children that we wish for our kids? I just wish them happiness. When a new couple gets married, I wish you happiness, right? But then we don't model that for our kids or for the married couple. We don't model it ourselves because a lot of us don't really know how. So today we're going to talk about why you should change your mind. And then I'm going to give you a few tips about how to change your mind. Because aren't we all really in pursuit of happy? Some of the best advice that I ever read was from a neuroscientist named Rick Hansen. And Rick Hansen says that our minds are like Velcro for the negative, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, and like Teflon for the positive. So he's saying that the negative stuff sticks really easily, and it's kind of hard to rip it back off. And the positive stuff just slides right off. Well, that means we just have to work a little bit harder to get the positive stuff to stick. So today, we're going to talk about training our brains to accept positivity. To create more joy in our lives, we have to create a practice that enforces the positive. So one simple exercise to get started doing this is when something good is happening in your life, even small good things, they don't have to be giant, life-changing good things to change your life. You know, we take some of those small things for granted. When something good is happening in your life, put your hand over your heart and say to yourself, this is joy. This is happiness. And stay with that feeling for a minute. And nobody has to hear you saying it. You say it in your head if you want to, or you can say it out loud. That'll make it stick even faster. But once you start acknowledging those moments of happiness, your brain starts to recognize them because they're coming in all the time. We just ignore them because our brains are like Teflon for them and they slide right off. And one bad thing happens and it ruins our whole day. You know, my 6-year-old will have something happen to her, a bad moment of the day. You know, she'll get a splinter or fall off the sliding board or something. And she'll say, Mom, I'm having a bad day. And I always correct her and say, no, it was a bad moment. But let's think of something good that's happened today. And we talk about 3 more things that were good that happened today, even if they were small. And that helps her at a young age start changing her brain and looking for the positive. So it can start at any age, doesn't have to be educated. You can start this at toddlerhood. And what a great legacy to live for your children, to be modeling happiness and joy for them. So the other point I want to make is stop waiting for the right time to start this. You know, another excuse that always comes up is I'm having a terrible day. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I have too many things going on at work. I'm overwhelmed. I can't take the time out to practice happiness. Well, when those are your top of your priority list, that's exactly when you should start thinking about making happiness and joy and practicing these things the top of your priority list. Because as soon as you do that, all the stress starts to fade away and things don't seem so overwhelming anymore. That's the magic of it. So I want you to make a conscious decision right now to start working on your goals that will lead you to your happiness. I want you to start changing your life today. Start getting happy today. Start losing weight today. Start changing your diet. Start changing your lifestyle today. Because remember, once we make the decision, that's when change starts to happen. So if you want to change, you have to give up the idea that this is who you are. Because we keep telling ourselves exactly who we are instead of who we want to be. I'm stressed, I'm busy, I have too much on my plate, I'm not organized, I'm always late, you know, all the things we say about ourselves. And that's where we're stuck. We want to start talking to ourselves in positive ways, in ways that forward who we want to be and where we want to go. So consciously start grooving a new dialogue for yourself, and that will make it quickly start to become your reality. But the thing is, it will only work if you decide to work it. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions of how to work it, to how to get this going on. And the first easiest step is to smile. And who knew that just smiling, just the mere act of smiling, releases chemicals in your brain that make your brain feel happy? Your brain does and thinks what you tell it to do and think. So if you're smiling, it doesn't know that you're not happy. So when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you're overwhelmed, take a minute and force a smile. I know it sounds weird, but if you do it, it snaps your brain out of that negative energy and starts releasing feel-good hormones. So if you practice smiling more, smile at different people, smile at random periods through the day, smile when you're driving, it starts to change the chemistry in your brain. Smile more. The second thing is to meditate or do some yoga or both. Meditation takes you out of your thoughts and brings you to the now. And this is where all the good stuff happens, in the present. You know? Most of the time we spend our energy looking forward or looking backwards. And we don't spend enough time right now. And right now is where the joy is. Right now, in this moment, that's where the joy is. So when you start learning to meditate and doing yoga practices, you start to learn how to be present in the now and leave those thoughts behind. Now, I hear a lot of people make excuses that they can't quiet their mind, or it feels very uncomfortable when their mind is still. And I say to that, that's why we're wellness warriors, because we're going to work through it and get through it. And if we're fighting for something, then why don't we fight for the good, right? So try practicing yoga or meditation. There are lots of sites on the website, on the internet, that will give you good guidance to meditation if you don't have time or money to get out and go to a practice to meditate or do yoga. There's plenty of YouTube sites where you can learn to do these practices at home on your own, in the privacy of your own home. If you're embarrassed or don't know what you're doing, use your resources. The third thing is to help someone else. Again, helping someone takes you out of your moment. It takes you out of your thoughts and your crisis and focuses energy on doing some good for someone else. Now, when I say help someone, I want you to be helping someone because you want to, and not because you feel obligated to, not because you need to add one more thing to your busy lifestyle. It's that helping someone for the effect of making them feel good and you feel good. When you're resentful about it and feeling bad and that this is too much for you to take on, that's counterproductive. So I'm talking about helping people because it fits for you as well. So even just small things like holding the door open for someone, or holding a child's hand while walking across the street, or smiling at someone, telling someone they look good today, making someone else's day brighter. That's helpful. And that in return will make you feel good. Those are the kind of acts that I'm talking about. And we can go even bigger and help our friends move, or help them with their problems, or help around the house cleaning up, any of those tasks as well. But again, remember that if it's adding to your burden, it's not helpful to anyone. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is gratitude. And I believe so strongly in gratitude, and that it's life-changing energy. When you're thankful for the things you have already, more things come to you. So practice gratitude today. Practice gratitude every day. For me, every single day, I list at least 5 things that I'm grateful for and thankful for. And sometimes they're as small as a beautiful ballpoint pen that writes. And sometimes they're huge, like the opportunity to take a new job, or the friendship of somebody. I practice gratitude all the time because it also helps me see my immediate, and stop myself from looking forward and looking backwards. I'm looking for what I have right now in my life that brings me joy. Start listing things. It's fun too. After you get past those few 5 or 6 that are the given, your pets, your family, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your kids, your job, your car, those normal things, and now you have to work harder because my rule is it can never be a repeat. Now it's fun because now I have to be a detective and find other things in my life that bring joy as well. And then once I've started this practice, it gets easier and easier, and my list just rolls. Okay? The next thing is art. And art and writing, journaling, getting some self-expression out is so healing for the soul. And something neat that happened to me today that goes back to being thankful and being in the here and now is I made a new collaboration with an art studio in Akron, and we're going to collaborate and do a workshop together that's art and life coaching together. And it is going to be so exciting. So if you want information on that, please feel free to email me at any time at catackett@hotmail.com. for more information about this project that we have going on. Because I'm telling you, art soothes your soul. And when you've got self-expression and the food for your soul, things are going to get better. It's amazing. And then the last thing that I want to talk about for me, was the most important piece of starting to change my life. Because this is where I started to groove a new dialogue in my brain. Dialogue that we normally have is all that negative stuff. I look fat in this. I have too much going on. I don't have enough money. You know, all the excuses for why we don't do things and why we stay stuck is because we talk to ourselves like that all the time. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. People said I didn't deserve it, you know? And we keep talking to ourselves like this. So the last thing I want to talk about is affirmations. And affirmations are new self-talk that work in the positive. Because for all this time you've been affirming yourself in the negative by giving yourself excuses and talking to yourself in negative, I want to give you a few positive affirmations. Affirmations work best when they're in the present tense and when you say them consciously. Preferably loudly, if the situation allows. I've been known to say my affirmations loudly in the car, or if nobody's at home, I'll say them loudly because that's how they become real. They're palpable then. You can feel them and you start believing them. Affirmations help you start believing positive things and thinking positive things. And you start to embrace these words as situations arise in your life. An easy one to get you started, these are sort of like mantras that you might say over and over and over again, you know, and start a new dialogue in your head. And an easy one that sort of goes for all situations, for a lot of occasions, if you're feeling lonely, sad, angry, hopeless, anxious, is to just simply say, I love and approve of myself. And at first it might not feel true, and it might feel strange to say such a thing, but isn't that what we want? To love and approve of ourselves? Don't we want other people to love and approve of us? Well, it all starts with you. And when you love and approve of yourself, that's really all that matters anyways. So I love and approve of myself. And if you start saying this over and over and over again, it will become your new reality. I write mine down on Post-it notes and put them in places I might see them, like on my rearview mirror of my car, or on my dashboard, or in the mirror at home when I'm brushing my teeth, to remind me to say these things. I also have one on my checkbook that I live in abundance, because I want to always remember that my bank account doesn't dictate the joy and happiness in my life. So right on my checkbook, on a Post-it note, it says, I live in abundance. If you're feeling sad, one you might say is, I am more than good enough and I get better every day. I'm more than good enough and I get better every day. It just feels good to say these kind of things. And if you stop for a moment and think, how often do you talk to yourself with kind words, with loving words? Maybe words you might use with a child or with your best friend. I bet it's not very often. It's certainly not enough. These things might feel selfish at first, especially if you have low self-esteem. But I can tell you that these are not selfish. This is how you become unselfish and more giving and more free to help other people. It's kind of amazing that when you love yourself, it's easier to love and give freely to others. If you're feeling insignificant, one that I like to say is, I have every bit as much brightness to offer the world as the next person. You know, sometimes we feel insecure about our abilities or insignificant, like we don't offer enough. This one is exactly telling your brain, yes, I do. I have everything I need and I am more than that. I am every bit as much bright. I have every bit as much brightness to offer the world as the next person. If you're feeling angry, say something like, I replace my anger with understanding and compassion. Because how many of you want to spend your days feeling angry and frustrated? And we do. There's a lot of horrifying things going on in our worlds every day. But we're focusing on them, and so they get bigger and bigger, like a big snowball. And so let's change that snowball from negativity to positivity by saying things like, I replace my anger with compassion and understanding. Another one you might say when you're with friends and family. Sometimes they don't do what we want them to do, or treat us how we want to be treated, or act the way we think they should be acting. Well, that's about them and not us. And keep that in mind. Your life is about you and how you're reacting to it, not what anybody else is doing. And that's hard sometimes for us to keep in mind. So you can say, I take great pleasure in my friends and family, even when we disagree or live different lives. I take great pleasure in my friends and family. Or if you have difficulty sleeping, or have bad dreams or nightmares at night, or you're going to bed anxious, don't go to bed anxious. Do some affirmation work, do some meditation work before you fall asleep to make your mindset more positive, because you'll wake up more positive in the morning. So if you're having difficulty sleeping, you have bad dreams, and a good affirmation for that would be, I sleep soundly and deeply and beautifully into this night. And when you start saying these things and talking to yourself in this way, this is when your life starts to change. Remember that change happens when you decide to make the change. That's all it takes, is the decision. So I encourage you that tonight, write a few affirmations down, decide to read them to yourself a few times a day, and decide to start living with joy and with positivity and with happiness. And again, if you have questions or want some other ideas for affirmations, I have lots of them. Email me at catackett@hotmail.com. And please join me next week for another episode of Love Your Life.